Keeping track of everything that's going on in my life is usually a bit overwhelming. So I've tried to use a bunch of different apps and usually I get stuck. There are list apps and project management apps, but I want something that's simple and minimal. I don't want too much fuss. I don't really want to pay any sort of subscription. I just wanted something that works. So I've decided I'm using Apple Notes. It's already baked into all of the devices I'm using because I have the iPad, a Mac Mini, and an iPhone, and it's just gonna work. So I'm gonna walk through a little bit of why, and a little bit of how I'm using it, my folder structure, and some of the features that I really enjoy out of Apple Notes. So let's get into it. So like I said, I've tried a bunch of different apps. I've tried Notion, I've tried GoodNotes, I've tried OneNote. I just don't seem to enjoy using those very well, and a lot of times they're overly complicated. They have a lot of features, and there's some things that I wish Apple Notes would do that they are doing. For me, when it really comes down to it in terms of day-to-day use, simple, quick notes that I want to make, longer lists, longer projects, whatever it might be, Apple Notes still seems to be what's working. Because I use the iPad, I really enjoy the fact that I can use Apple Notes by typing. There's obviously keyboards. I can use that on different devices or with the Apple Pencil and do handwriting or drawing, because that different type of input allows me to be a little bit more creative when I'm using the app and using notes in different aspects of my life, from personal things to professional things and really creative things. All can be done because I have those different types of inputs. It also allows me to collaborate and share. Apple Notes has moved a little bit towards that Google Docs iteration of being able to edit at the same time and tracking different changes while you're doing so. For me, I really like just being able to share a note with my wife. To be honest, there's times where there's some details or things that I've put in a note that she needs, and so I can just give her access to that note and it's going to show up for her on her phone. And going back to those multiple devices, it's really about syncing. I can make an edit here on the iPad, and just instantaneously it's going to be available for me on my desktop. It's also going to be available for me on my iPhone. So if I'm out, if I'm at dinner, my wife makes a comment of, hey, can you add this to the grocery list? I can go in there and add that, and it's going to be synced across all of my devices and ready for me when I get back. So I did recently pick up the M1 Mac Mini. This is the first video in a series of videos that I'm going to do talking about how I use the devices together. So make sure and hit subscribe and that notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. Another feature that I utilize a lot in Apple Notes are the different types of content that you can put there. In terms of lists or tables, I use those in different contexts, but I love that it's all built in right there for me in Apple Notes. I've also made the Notes app readily available across these devices, and that's because Apple's made it readily available. I can do a swipe up from the bottom right on the iPad and the desktop, and then I've made it accessible in my control panel or control center. Control panel. I've also made it available on my control center in my iPhone so that it's always ready to go, and it's also in my dock on all three devices. So no matter what, if I need to make a note, if I need to reference something, it's going to be right there for me. Alright, that's enough of me just babbling on. Let's jump in and let me show you how I have my files structured and some of the things that I'm actually using the notes for. So while I am going to blur some things out on the screen for privacy or maybe future plans, you are going to be able to see the structure and different types of content that I'm putting here and using the Notes app for. So first up, I do all of my video planning and YouTube channel management here in Apple Notes. And within that YouTube section, I have a resources folder. So there's a couple of things in here that I document. That's a lot of my affiliate or brand type of things that I'm working on. I have a list of brands that I would love to work with, so I have some target lists in here. I also recently did a little bit of a refresh here on the channel in terms of some of the branding, so a lot of those details are planned in here. and things that I want to use on a more frequent basis or recurring basis are also in here. I do get a lot of emails for different product reviews. People want to send me some things, so I've decided to create a template for how I respond to those emails. I leave that in here so I can copy and paste that and get back to people pretty quickly with the information they need on how to do so. Also, in the description of every single one of my videos here on the channel, I have links to a bunch of products that I use and mention throughout these videos. And instead of retyping those and going and getting those links every single time, I have that saved here as a note. So again, I can copy and paste right into the description of each video. I also do all of my video ideas in here, and I put outlines together for each video. So first up in this section is the content plan. What videos are coming up? And this is where you're gonna see me using one of the tables. So I have the table with what video is coming up and where I'm at in the process of producing that video. If it's been drafted, filmed, edited, and then I have the post date available. Now we're currently filming the video for Apple Notes, but that means it's drafted, so I can go ahead and check that one off. And once I am done here, I'll put the X in filmed, and as you'll see, the post date for this is December 27th. So once I get that edited and posted, you're now seeing it. Once an idea is up there, I do create its own note, because this is where I'll jump into this video here for Apple Notes. I have a couple of things in here that I like to keep myself organized. I believe that every good video is going to have these three things, so I keep this in mind. It has a good hook at the beginning. It does have some kind of geeking out on gear, so I have that. And then I want to center storytelling. How am I actually using this stuff in my day-to-day is interesting and highlighting some features, but I want to actually tell a story throughout some of these videos. And there might be something that I'm dangling at the end, there might be some tension involved. It really depends on what type of video it is, on how much storytelling is there, but all three of those are what's going to make good content for you to enjoy here on YouTube. Now, this is also where I think about the titles of my videos, and I brainstorm a couple of different options. I write out the tags that I'm going to use. I really organize a lot of things. So if there are any special links, I'll include that here. And then also an outline or script. Now this varies in terms of what type of video, or just if I'm going to be writing out more of a script or outlining, bulleting things, and then kind of talking through it as we go. But I want all of that here so I can reference it while I'm filming. I also do thumbnail ideation here. I want to have that idea of what is this going to look like on YouTube before I get started. It really helps me visualize what the experience is for you as the viewer of this video. And once I'm done filming that video, I do move that into an archive. I don't need every single one of these still living here from, forever. I think I've made over 100 videos here on the channel. Having that many notes in here would be really clunky. For example, last week's video was Mac Mini review, so I can now move this over into archive. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I can move the note into my archive and it's gone. One thing you might be noticing is that I use folder names with numbers, and that helps them kind of stay organized. So now that this is technically the second one, I can go back up and update that, because this is the next video that I would like to be working on, and do the same for a couple of the others that will be coming up in the next few weeks. Moving on down, I have a whole folder dedicated to the second channel that I work on. If you're not familiar, I have a Airstream base camp, and me and my wife travel across the country and make videos about those travels over on Rivet and Roll. I'll link that channel up here if you're interested, as well as down in the description. And in that folder, I do a lot of the same things in terms of content planning, keeping track of hashtags or different links that we're going to be using across social media, so a lot of channel and production organization there. And then I have a folder for some personal things. I'm going to blur most of this out. I do keep things in here like a workout plan, and my wife and I play a game called Skyjo, so our scoreboard is in here, things like that. And again, that one's more just personal things going on, so I'm not going to share too much there. Lists is important. I use this one very, very frequently. I have a couple of different types of lists in here, and the most basic is my to-do list. So here you can see my current to-do list. I'm going to share this with you, what's coming up, and what I'm working on this weekend. So this is pretty basic. I don't have a whole lot of detail with these, but these are quick things that I know exactly what it means when I look at this, what I need to get done. I put all sorts of stuff here, from video stuff that I'm working here on YouTube to more personal things like finances, and I'm going to be painting some of this office space. As you can see, this is the first video with a painted black wall behind me. The rest of the office still needs to get painted, so that's on the list for this weekend. And a office redesign video will be coming to the channel eventually once I get some things finalized. But moving on, I have a full house to-do list. My wife and I recently bought this house. We've been here about 2 months, and the list is very long, and it's never going to end. Moving on, I also do my grocery planning in here. I have different categories of all the different things that we buy on a frequent basis, so I can keep track of that. We also do meal planning, so I put the week up at the top, and every time I go grocery shopping, we plan out what meals we're going to have. I also have a wish list of product items and things that I want. This is something that I can share for, upcoming holidays, or I guess just recently past holidays, or things that I know I'm saving up for personally. I have lists with links and stuff that to those products that I want to pick up soon. Now, I'm not going to show this next one in terms of the details in it, but it is for Feeding America. That is my full daytime job. I am on the digital fundraising team, marketing team at Feeding America. If you ever have questions about that, let me know. Should I do more about digital marketing here on the channel? I've been doing that for about 10 years, so let me know if that's something you're interested in the comments below. Next up is travel. There's not a whole lot of travel happening these days, so that folder is pretty empty at the moment, but that is where we would be putting all sorts of flight details, or if there's restaurants we want to go to at a destination or anything like that, those are going in there. Also, from a photography perspective, when I'm traveling, I want to make sure that I hit certain spots. I scope out, just do some research on the internet of where I may want to take some photos. I'll put those details here in a travel folder. And then archive, you're going to see both archive and recently deleted. Archive is where I might want to reference that in the future. So some of my older video notes, I want to, what was it that I used there, or was there a link in there that I used? Maybe go pull that forward. I put those into archive. But if I know I messed something up in a note, this is something I just made a quick note for and this can go away, I go ahead and delete those, and then those will auto delete from the device. I think it's after 30 or 40 days, something like that. But that is how I have my folders structured and how I'm using Apple Notes. Now, what we've been looking at is the Apple Notes app on the iPad, and you can do things like hide those folders. You can even go into full screen and really maximize the screen of this while you are utilizing it. But also taking a quick look at what it looks like on desktop, this is pretty much the same thing. You don't necessarily need to hide the columns in the same way, because you can just resize this or even go full screen. But everything is there, it's the same stuff. Again, I can go ahead and add things here, test, and then if I go back and I'll just go into resources, description links, and there you go, it just updated to test. So you can see things getting updated and refreshing across devices pretty quickly. That's always it's just nice. I enjoy it. It's a good app. Like I said at the beginning of this, I've used other apps, but I've come back to Apple Notes just to keep things simple and minimal so that I don't have to think about too many things or go to different apps to get different things done. It's all done right here in Apple Notes. But that's going to do it for today, so I'll see you in the next one.